Our next task will be to add an event listener so that any of the items that we click within the list view, we can capture that click event and pass some data from that list view off to a new activity that we created. If you recall from the very first video, we created two activities that are being used. The first one was music list main activity right here, and then the second one was the song detail activity. So this main list actually has a list view on it, and we went through how to bind to an adapter and create some data on that particular list view. So now what we want to do is create click listeners, and then when you click, we will capture some of the data from the screen, from the data set that is available to that first main activity, and pass it along to the second activity. If you recall from the first week's reading, we actually went through and used an application class to kind of maintain state for the application. Now we're going to go a step further, or not a step further, we're going to actually go a different approach and use intents to be able to pass some additional data along to this class. Alright, so let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to this list view, and we are going to create from this list view an event listener that will respond to all of the different click events that may happen with this particular list view. So if you look at IntelliSense, the help, you'll see that there is a method called set on item click listener. And what we're going to do is we want to use an interface, but we want to provide the implementation. So we're going to do an anonymous inner class that will that we have to define for this this click listener. So we'll do new, and then if you type on item click listener, that's the one right there that we want to do. If you hit enter, it's going to grab the actual class that it comes from, and then the class or the method that we must implement to be able to create this interface. So in this particular case, it's a public void on item click. Okay, so we're going to change a couple things here, like this int_i isn't particularly descriptive, so I'm going to change this to position. Position will kind of tell us which one of the items within the list view was actually clicked. Okay, save that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do song, and I'm going to say song A is equal to do my cast for song, and then I'm going to from the adapter, which is the actual song adapter, which is right here. What we will do song adapter.getItem, and then we're going to pass this position here that we grabbed before, or that we're passing along. So essentially what's happening is we are getting the position item that's clicked, and we're fetching from our song adapter the song that is at that position and returning it here. So we now have that song. So our next thing to do is kind of just logs, that way we know what's going on. So let's go ahead and do the same log that we've been doing along. So we'll do debug, and I'll put a tag here, and then I will say that you selected, and I'll say plus song.get. We did get name before, so let's go ahead and do get artist. So that's using this tag, this music list. We log it out to the screen. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually create an intent and add what's called an extra to it. And the intent is a way that Android uses to be able to kind of let the system know, or let the developer tell the system that, hey, I want you to go open this thing and use whatever the system is set up to use for launching these particular intents or these activities. So what I'm going to do is create a new intent. I'm going to call it intent, and it's going to be a new intent, and inside there I'm going to do view.getContext, and then I'm going to do the class that I actually want to start. So if you look back up here, it's actually song detail activity. So song detail activity dot class. Save that. And then I am going to do the actual intent dot put my extra into it, and then I'm going to do song title, and I'm going to say my song dot get name. That puts the intent inside of it. And then finally I'm going to do start activity. Start activity takes the intent and embeds it. Now I'm actually launching that new activity, and then from that other activity I can actually pull in the information. So I'm going to pause. Let's go ahead and run this real quick. Verify everything is working. So if you look down here, again, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, it was building. It's been successful. The new part is opening up. And when I click on it, I will actually be able to see in my logcat that I got the information, and then it should launch the new activity. So there's the new activity that I set up. And if I actually look down in my logcat, down here at the bottom, it says you selected Katy Perry. Alright, so I'm going to pause here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to go to the new activity and grab some of that data.